and good evening. Very warm welcome to you all on the fifth day of 7 days executive development program, which is the seventh batch in the series which started on April 21st. My sincere gratitude to ICAI President C.A. Nehar Jambusaria sir, ICAI Vice President C.A. Dr. Devashish Mitra sir, ICAI Acting Secretary C.A. Dr. Jaikumar Batra sir, and all Central Council members of ICAI. This program by Committee for Members in Industry and Business is an initiative under the vision of Chairman C.A. Hansraj Chugh sir and Vice Chairman C.A. Durgesh Kabra sir. The vision of Chugh sir and Kabra sir has taken us so far where the different sessions which we have conducted in this series have helped our young members significantly in their corporate journey. Today we will be having two sessions, and let me remind you that all the sessions are available on the recorded webcast area and also on ICICA YouTube channel. Our first session today is by CA Meenakshi Sundaram, who is based out of Bahrain. Meenakshi is a chartered accountant and management accountant with over 22 years of experience in handling management accounts, finance, taxation, and HR. He had served as chairperson of our Bahrain chapter for the term 2014-15. Meenakshi is a John Maxwell team certified speaker, trainer and coach, besides Maxwell certified behavior analyst trainer. Meenakshi is a Toastmaster for a very long time and a leadership coach for a very long time. Meenakshi, as a chairperson of Bahrain chapter and also as a past leader in the Middle East, has significantly supported our members in their different initiatives, and he has made a significant difference in our lives. In this series, we had seen Meenakshi earlier, and today he agreed to be back here with a different topic and making a big difference for us in today's session. With this, I request everyone to please give a big virtual round of applause for Meenakshi. And Meenakshi, the screen is yours. Thank you.
Thank you, CA Prabdeep, for this opportunity and for the wonderful introduction. Let me also take this opportunity to thank Chairperson of CMIB, CA Hansraj Chugh, Vice Chair, CA Durgesh Kabraji, and the Secretary CA Ranganathanji for the opportunity to me and also for making such a wonderful impact in the lives of people. Let me start by sharing the screen first. The screen is visible?
Yes, it is visible. Very clear. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. So today we are going to speak about communication and connection. Now you may be wondering what is this difference between communication and connection. We will see exactly how connection works and how communication works. Before I start, I have a small disclaimer, just to say that any images, of course there are no videos in this particular slide, in this presentation, only images taken from internet or only for illustration purposes. It's not for any commercial purposes. Any copyright violation, it is unintended and only with the idea of sharing knowledge. Now, communication and connection. There are so many texts that gets being sent each day. 16 million. 500 million tweets that happens every day. And 500 million Instagram stories that happens each day. These are available in the internet. You can go and check it out. This is the data that I got from 2015. 11 million meetings per day in US alone. But with the pandemic that's happening now, the kind of meetings that we are having, so many online meetings, this number should be in billions now. And of course, there are different research which says that, one research says there's 4,000 words that we speak each week. some say 30,000 words, an average of 16,000 words roughly, we all speak in a week, which if you compile, it can be 100-page book. With all this communication that's happening, the question is, how many of these communications actually end up in a good connection? We all communicate. In the words of my mentor, John Maxwell, everybody communicates, but only few connect. Now, what is the secrecy in getting that connection? And that's exactly what we are going to see today. But why we need to connect? The communication, of course, is the basic tool for connection, but why we need to connect? John Maxwell says, connection increases your influence in every situation. Now, this is again another article in HVR in February 2018 by Rebecca Knight. And she says that if you want to increase your influence with your co-workers, you have to build connection. So connection becomes the bedrock for influence. And as a leader, if you want to grow in your organization, in your life, you have to increase your influence. The connection becomes the basic element that aids, that helps in establishing influence. Another research, this is by Jay Hall. He's having his own company. It's called Teleometrics. You can find it in the internet. They did a research on 16,000 managers. They also included workers in this particular research, but we are talking about managers here because that's more useful to us. That was the reason why I thought I'll pick up the managers research. And they found out that high-performing teams, the leaders of the high-performing teams, they were able to create an environment that was facilitating connection and collaboration. So the more you connect with people, the more you are able to achieve things in your life. And there's another research done on the US presidents. They take all the past US presidents. They found 5 top qualities: vision, pragmatism, consensus building, charisma, trustworthiness. Now, let me give this information to you. This research was done probably about 2 decades back. So obviously, it doesn't include all the presidents, especially the last president of the United States. Now, if you look at these 5 top qualities, other than the first one, which is vision, all the rest 4, pragmatism, consensus building, charisma, or trustworthiness, has got something to do with how you connect with people. So 4 out of 5 qualities for someone to be a successful leader is based on your ability to connect with people. So what we will see today? I'll give you 2 principles for establishing connection and 3 practices that we all can follow in our life that will help us in establishing connection. We'll talk about the principles first. The first principle is connection goes beyond words. Now, I remember a story which I heard from a speaker in my regional language, Tamil. He's a famous speaker by name Suki Sivam. He was telling a story, an incident that happened back in 80s when President of India was Gyani Zail Singh. And he was visiting Madurai, my hometown, and visiting Meenakshi temple. The trustee of the temple at that time was one Mr. V.N. Chidambaram, who can speak a bit of English, nothing, absolutely zero in Hindi. Of course, a great speaker in Tamil. The collector of Madurai came to him and said that, because President is coming and he will be obviously interested to know about the temple, and you may struggle. So I will be there, I will help you. Chidambaram said, fine, I will be waiting for you. So President came, but as a collector, he has got other duties to finish. Before he could finish all the duties and join them, it became late, and as he reached, he saw both President Gyani Zail Singh and the trustee, Chidambaram. They were walking together, talking and laughing. He was shocked, but he waited for them to finish. Once the President left, he went back to Chidambaram and asked, you cannot speak Hindi and your English is broken. Zail Singh is an expert in Urdu and Hindi. His English is okay. How you were able to communicate? Chidambaram said, I spoke with whatever English I know. He understood with whatever I was telling because we were connecting with our hearts, not with our words. Now, connection goes beyond words. When I talk about connection, again, communication becomes the main tool that we all use for connection. So I'll give you what actually happens in a communication. A communication is basically components, the main components of a communication. If you look at, it's a thought, an idea or a thought that comes to your mind. And that's what actually end up as a communication. Then, of course, the emotions, what we feel about it. A thought comes, and then how we feel, what we feel about it becomes our emotion. Then what we do with that thought becomes our action. And these three combined together becomes our communication. Of course, there are communications where we only talk about thoughts, where we want to share information. An idea came and we want to give the information. We just share the information, a thought being shared. But if that thought came, the idea came, and you are so inspired by the idea, you are going to add passion to that. That's your emotion. And you're going to share it to that. Sometimes maybe sharing is not good enough. You will try to use your every aspect of what is available to explain that by action, probably writing down in a notice board or using a PowerPoint presentation, whatever it is. So that's an action. So communication is basically a thought, an emotion, and action combined. The components in connection, if you look at people connect, people see what we do and then they connect visually. People hear what we say, they connect verbally. What they understand, what people understand, that becomes intellectual connection. When we are able to understand each other, our ideas, we establish an intellectual connection. And then what we feel, that's an emotional connection. So there are 4 different levels of connection that happens. People see what we are doing, they're connecting visually. People hear and they connect verbally. People understand what we are saying. The concept is understood. Connection happens in intellectual level. And then the feeling comes in. Emotional connection is established. So these are the 4 different areas or as aspects with which people connect. And this is also established in Dr. Mahabarian's research, which says very clearly that 7% of the communication, the connection from the communication happens 7% only from the words. 38%, the way you say it, 55% is what people see. So let's dwell into the last one, which is what people see. Because that plays a significant role in connection. She is a professor, Dr. Emily Ponin from Princeton University. And she says, people overestimate how much they can learn about others from brief encounters, such as job interviews or social interactions. At the same time, they think others can get only a glimpse of them from such encounters. Have you ever experienced it? You see someone doing something in a party, and immediately you say, oh, this person is like this. The information what you have got is only one portion, a small action. That's what you see. But then you decide that person's personality. Isn't it? So what people see is action. But what people miss, which is what we have, when we say that no one can understand me by seeing me doing one thing, what is that we are missing here? What we are missing here is intention. Because when someone else is doing something and we look at that person, we justify their action with our own thoughts, whatever we feel. We don't consider their intention because it is not available to us. But when we do something and someone else says, oh, this person is like that, and they judge us, we are like, no, that's not who I am. My intention is different because intention is available only to us. Intention is not available to others. So in major part of our communication, of our social interactions, what people see influences a lot in establishing a good connection. And that's exactly the reason why Dr. Marabian's research also says 55%. People generally misconstrue it, saying that 58% is your body language. No, that's not about public speaking. That entire research is not about public speaking. The entire research is about how you behave in a particular environment. What is influencing people? People are influenced by your actions. For example, you tell your child or a person who is younger to you, don't do this. And they will not listen to you because they are seeing you doing same thing and they are going to follow what you have been doing. So people see, don't hear. The words doesn't matter here. So that's the crux of this particular thing. So what people see plays a huge role in establishing connection. So if you want to be a person who others will consider you as an expert, then you have to prove yourself again and again as an expert. People see that you speak or you show your reasons, you exhibit your expertise, and they are going to believe that you are an expert. They'll get connected to you as an expert. If you want to be a person who is perceived as someone who is going to help people at any point of time, you have to help people. And people see you helping, then they will know, yes, this person is that person who will help. A nice person, a kind person. Unless you exhibit your kindness, no one will believe that you are a kind person. So what are you communicating? Whether by actions or by words or by behavior. That is going to influence how you are going to connect with people. So what people see thus plays a huge role in establishing a formidable, a strong connection. Now, this is a famous book titled Influence. If you get a chance, please read it. It's an amazing book. I just want to add one line before I go into this one. This book is written by Dr. Robert Cialdini with a basic idea of helping people to know how marketeers are actually influencing. Unfortunately, the maximum people who read this book are all the people who are in marketing because they want to know how they can influence people. But this has to be read by everyone, so you know how you are getting influenced and how you can influence people also. He says that now if you want a juror to like your client, you have to make them like your client. So that's why you see in courtroom dramas and all, they show that their client is a good person. So I took the example again because to reiterate the point that you have to exhibit the qualities again and again. That's how you communicate to people. They see you doing it and they appreciate and they know that you are this person. And that's how you're going to connect with people. Again, this Eleanor Roosevelt. This is a very good quote. I like a lot because it says, see, people really don't care how much you know. You can boast that your knowledge is so much. People don't at all worry about it unless they know you care. The moment they know that you care for them, they will respect your knowledge. But if they know that you are not really caring for them, they are not going to respect your knowledge. That's why many times what happens, you see someone who is intellectual, the way they behave, people don't like them. They don't even consider them. They don't even give respect to them. They don't want to connect with them. But you see people who may not be an expert, but they are very, very good at heart and people want to connect. This is exactly what Eleanor said. So if you want to establish connection, people should see that you are what you are telling to them to be. So that's the first principle that we have seen. The second principle is connection is not about you, it's about others. I want to give a short story here, one example. See, this happened in 2018 in Orlando. I was attending Maxwell International Certification event. John Maxwell was speaking on stage. John has got different techniques that he uses when he speaks, and one of the techniques is called cue card. He picks up a card. The card will have sometimes a quote, a riddle, or a joke. So he picked up one card that day to show how he will be using the card when he speaks. The card had a joke, and then he told the joke. I will tell the joke that he said, and then I will give the story or the message that I got from that. The joke goes like this. God created donkey first and told donkey that you are going to go to the world, you are going to help humans in every possible manner, and you will live for 50 years. Donkey was upset. Only helping humans, 50 years, not possible. 25 years, okay. God said, okay, 25 years. Then he made a monkey and said, your job is to go jump around trees and make fun. You will be an entertainer for the humans. You have to make them happy. You will live for 30 years. Monkey was like, all this I have to do for 30 years? No, not possible. 15 years, okay. God said, fine, 15 years. Then he made a dog. And he said, your job is to just bark at people. You go there and just bark at people. You will live for 20 years. Dog said, 20 years is too much. Give me 10 years. Said, okay. Then finally, he made human, a man. And he said, your job is to go to world and enjoy life. You will live for 20 years. And I was like, 20 years only for enjoying life? What about the 25 years of a donkey, 15 years of monkey, and 10 years of dog? Give it all to me. God said, take it. So that's how, for 20 years, a human enjoys a life fully. The next 25 years, work like a donkey for everyone else in the life. And the next 15 years, like a monkey, jumping around from one son to house to another daughter's house, jumping and making grandchildren so happy about in their life. The last 10 years, just sit there and bark at people. Now, when he started this joke, I was sitting in the table and I know this joke. Just imagine when someone is going to tell a joke, the moment they start telling the joke, you know the joke exactly. How will you feel? I know the joke. That was the feeling I got. But as John started telling the joke, the way he was narrating it, the way he was enjoying telling the joke like a child, I started getting involved. The way he was narrating, I started enjoying the joke. But the best part is when he finished the joke, he got up from his chair, he came close to the edge of the stage, took that card, threw it, and then asked one question. Tell me, how many times in my speaking career I would have told this joke? Take a guess. I've been speaking from my age of 20, now I am 70. So 50 years of speaking, just take a wild guess. People said 1,000, 2,000, 5,000. Then he said, anywhere between 3,000 to 5,000. No one knows. But the point is this. Every time I tell this joke on stage, I tell this joke on stage as if it's the first time I am telling the joke. I enjoy it to the fullest. Because this is not about me. This is about you, the audience. If I don't enjoy, you will not enjoy. Now, this gave a different perspective to me at all. See, everything we do in our life, when we think it is for us, we do it differently. And when we think what we are doing is for someone else, like one of the monks said, when you close your eyes for meditation, you go deep inside you. When you open your eyes, the question you ask is what I can do for you, to the person who is sitting in front. Connection happens smoothly. The connection is about others, not about you. George Carlin is a famous stand-up comedian from US. Have you ever noticed that anybody driving slower than you is an idiot? And anyone going faster than you is a maniac. And this is what we do when we are driving, isn't it? We feel if someone is overtaking us, oof, what a maniac he is. Someone in front of us is going very slow, oof. Because we are focused on ourselves. But connection happens when we shift the focus to the people around us. When you shift that focus towards the person who is sitting next to you, to the person whom you are really concerned about, connection happens. That's a second principle. People fail to connect because ego. We all have this ego. Everyone, unless you are a monk or someone who has called self-realization, each of us has got our own ego at a particular level. Someone probably high, someone is less, but everyone has got ego. But ego is what is going to come in between us and others in getting that connection. Ego is out, connection is in. The next one is insecurity, especially in workplace. This is more so in workplace. In workplace, we don't want to help someone else because we feel that by helping him, maybe him or her, that person probably can grow better than us. Maybe that person will show a better result and we will stay behind. That insecurity feeling. When you help people, you're going to connect. Of course, you have to choose whom to help and whom not help. That's a different subject altogether. But insecurity feeling is not going to help you to establish connection at all. And it's not going to help you in any way. Immaturity. Again, each of us are immature. Even though someone can say that I am the most matured person in the world, no one can say that. We are all immature in different way, in different situation. In one particular situation, because we have had experience, maybe we will behave in a matured manner. But in some situation where we have not had any experience, we will be immature. But knowing that immaturity can cause a disturbance in the connection will help us. Failing to value people. Again, John Maxwell, as a team member, one motto that's been given to us is that our job is to add value to people. But point here is, unless we value people, we cannot add value to people. And same thing what Eleanor Roosevelt said. People don't care how much you know unless they know how much you care. If you don't value someone, they are not going to value your knowledge, your help, nothing. So you have to value people for whoever they are, what they are. Just value them. And you will see connection happening. Yes. This is a famous anecdote by Amy Cuddy. She is a TEDx speaker, psychologist. She says that whenever we meet, there's a question that comes in our mind. Everyone asks these three questions. Do you care for me? Can you help me? Can I trust you? When we answer all these questions in affirmative, connection is going to happen. Now, when I say this, it depends on who you want to help, who you want in your life. I'm not saying that you should be nice to everyone in your life. But the moment you choose to have some people in your life, you have to tick these boxes. But if you expand, you can have everyone in your life. It doesn't matter their ideas, ideologies. They don't have to be nice to you, but it doesn't matter that you don't have to change yourself because they are not nice at you. Let me talk about some practices that we can follow for establishing connection. The first practice that I want to talk about is finding common ground. Now, for example, you go to a new place. I can take myself as an example. I was living in Madurai, my hometown, for 25 years. I finished CA, I was working there. Then I got a job and I moved to Hyderabad. That's a new place for me. So what is the first thing I did? The moment I came to Hyderabad, I started looking for people who can speak my language, people who are chartered accountants, people who have a similar interests, maybe reading books. So I'm trying to find common ground in that new city. I'm ticking boxes. The moment I get find people who speak my languages, there is an established connection. The moment I find people who are CAs, there's another connection. I find people who read similar books, similar interests, playing cricket, badminton. So there are different things we do. We try to find a common ground to establish ourselves. Exactly the same principle you adapt, you find a common ground between two people, you are going to have a connection. Not with everyone, you are going to find everything in common. But at least one thing in common you can find with almost everyone. That's what you should look for. What are the barriers that come in between when you want to establish common ground? Preconceived notions. Now you see someone and immediately, probably that person resembles someone else in your life. A person who have given you a very negative emotions. Or you had a bad experience with that person. Or some types of people, we have these stereotypes. So all these preconceived notions come in between and acts as a barrier for common ground. You don't even want to talk to them. The moment we see someone like this, we say, no, I don't want to talk to that person. Then how are you going to establish connection? That person may be a very influencing person in the organization where you're working. Maybe the person is, in the project where you're going to get involved. That person plays an important role. So your notions sometimes can hamper your growth. Okay, it may sound like manipulation, but connection, when you genuinely want to go for it, you can get it. The second one is assumptions. Now we all assume things, so many things. When people come and say that this person is doing this because of so and so reason, in the office environment especially, if someone is trying to help you, you start questioning, why this person is helping me? Is this person is helping me because he or she want to get something from me? All these assumptions that runs in our mind. Or someone comes and makes a statement without any intent in their mind. But we assume this person is saying this because I did that to that person that day. Assumptions. Assumptions can be a major barrier in hampering the connections. Lack of perspective. When we don't get a clear perspective of what's happening, connection can really get hampered. This is one example. Now if you look at this particular picture, there are two ways of looking at it. You look at the white portion, you will find two human faces facing each other. You focus on the black portion, you will find something like a cup. So it's a perspective. So once you understand that there can be different perspectives of the same problem, you are going to find ways of connecting with people. When you don't get a perspective, you are going to lose the opportunity of finding common ground. What are the choices that we can take that will help us in finding common ground? Availability. Now I will give you one example. This is a salesperson who worked with us. Unfortunately, he passed away. Almost after a year after he passed away, I was in a conference where I met one of our customers. And this person came to me and said, Meenakshi, that man is different. I don't think you can find a salesperson who can be like him. I know that this person was very good in sales, but I want to know more. So I asked him, why are you saying that? What makes you feel that this person is special? He said, see, this person is always available. Whenever I call, he will pick up the phone. Even sometimes late in the evening, late in the night, I called him and he will answer my call. Not only that, sometimes when I ask him what I wanted, he is not at all dealing with that product, but he will find who is dealing with that product and he will give me, he will connect that person with me. That makes a huge difference to me. So whenever I want something, the first option is given to him. And that's exactly why I think his sales was definitely better. So what he was doing, he was being available. And I know him personally also. Personally also, you call him anytime, he is there to help. He was always available. So if you want to have a good connection, you should be available to people whom you want to connect with. If you are not available to them when they want it, then you are losing a chance of connecting. One of the common grounds is being available. Listening. Listening is a vast chapter on its own. But listening makes a huge difference. First thing in communication is listening. Listening increases the chance of connecting with people more than speaking. I will give you one example. We had one of the department head. I was not having a very good relation with that person. And there was one issue that we have to sort out. There is no other option, but I have to talk to him. So I prepared myself mentally. And I told to myself that in this meeting, I am not going to speak. I am going to listen to him. So as I called him for a meeting and I allowed him to speak. The moment I listened, and he realized that I am actually all for listening. The barrier that was in between us, which was hampering our connection, went off. We could connect and we became definitely good friends in our life. So listening makes a huge difference. That's one common ground, that's one thing which can help you to find a common ground. Likability, that's exactly what Eleanor Roosevelt said. People like you, so they will listen to you. So you have to work on your likability. When I say likability, I am not saying that you should be a people pleaser. Note the difference. People pleaser, you will not be able to please everyone, and at the end of the day, you are going to really get a wrath of everyone else. So when I say likability, it's not people pleasing. It's being likable by helping them. They like you for your knowledge. They like you for your honesty. They like you for your straightforwardness. They will like you for what you can do for them. Helping. So that is another thing that will help you to establish common ground. Second practice in connecting, simplicity. Now when I say simplicity, I am not saying that like Steve Jobs or Mark Zuckerberg that you wear a simple t-shirt and walk around. No, not that. Simplicity in terms of appearance or living is different, but simplicity in connection is basically being very simple in the way you communicate. You're not trying to complicate things. Make it easy for people to understand. Making it simple is the hardest thing. It's not easy. You have to work hard to make something appear very simple. Now people have to approach you. You have to make that approach simple and easy for you. If you're growing in your organization, you're already in a manager position, you have people working under you. You want the connection to be there actually between you and your subordinates. For that, you have to make the approach simple. Like the communication line is simple and easy to follow. When you say something, you make it very simple and easy for people to follow. This is what Albert Einstein said. If you can't explain it simply, you don't understand it very well. The simplicity is not an easy thing. It's one of the toughest thing that you can have. But you have to work for it. So if you want to make things simple and easy for others, you have to struggle. You want to have the connection with people, then you have to struggle. Nothing is easy in life. How can you keep it simple? Talk to people, not about them. This is especially for people who are below you. You are talking to people who are working under you. Talk to them, not about them. Don't show to them that who you are. as in case of a boss or the person with authority. Show to them that you are human. That connection becomes stronger when you do that. Get to the point. Don't try to beat around the bush. Don't try to avoid making. Sometimes we try to delay things. We tend to avoid talking about certain things. Don't do that. Get to the point. Straight. It's easy. Say it clearly. When I say clearly, it's not about just the communication, but also about choosing the right words, making it simple for the other person to understand. Last one, say less. More complicates things more. Less complications are less. And there are 4 H which will help you in establishing connection in communication. In the communication, again, not only in words, but also by actions. Humor. People will laugh. They're going to open up their hearts. Now, when I say humor, I am not saying sarcasm. There's a difference. Sarcasm is also humor. And many times we cut jokes, sarcastic jokes about people, and everyone laughs. So we think that they are laughing on our joke. They will laugh if it is on others. The moment it is on them, like how someone is going to hate you, they are also going to hate you. So don't ever use sarcastic jokes as a humor tool. Humor has to be clean, simple, easy. Clean humor. You can do humor on yourself, but not on others. Heart. Something that will captivate people's emotions. Something that will move people. Heart talk. So get that emotion. Hope. When you speak, which instill hope in people's mind, their hearts, they are going to get connected to you. So hope is another H. Help. Any words that we use which is in a way that's going to help people, not only words, and you have to also help physically. You have to show that you are helping. So all these 4 H will establish a strong connection. Third practice, get an enjoyable experience. I want to talk about one person who I know from my college days. This person, he goes extra miles in making every experience enjoyable one for us. For example, when we were going for college tour, this person went to the extent of ensuring that everything is planned properly. Though it was not only him, there were others, but he was putting his mind in each and every activity, like connecting trains. What we will do for there is a gap in the bus timings. What we will do in that timing. Everything was planned, and in a way that it helps everyone to enjoy the trip. So create an enjoyable experience. Enjoyable experience you can create by also using positive words. You see someone coming to your office and smiling at you every time. Whenever you speak to that person, that person speaks positively. How do you feel? When that person comes to the meeting lights up. How do you feel? Be that person. Create that enjoyable experience for people in and around you. That's what Maya Angelou used to say. People will forget what you said, but they will never forget how you made them feel. So be that person who brings that enjoyable experience in people's lives. 4 levels of connections I want to talk about. See, we connect with different people at different levels. We connect with some people with only words. So we speak nice words, good words, positive words, and we connect with them. And this is true with many of our office colleagues. We may not be working with them. They may be in a different department, in a different, maybe different office together. If you have multiple locations, different locations, you may probably have a conversation once in a month. You are only connecting with words. But when you speak purposeful words, positive words, words that can instill inspiration in them, you are going to connect with them. The second is action, where we help people. We physically help people by being good to others. Sometimes, even when you are angry, you realize that you are angry and then change the topic or bring humor, and or after you being angry, you go back to that person and apologize to the person. Action. The second level of connection is the action. The third level of connection is thought, an idea. Now, we have connection with different people at different levels. For some people, we only connect with our thoughts. We may not even talk to them frequently. But one idea comes to our mind, immediately we think of this person. We call that person. This is what I'm thinking. What do you say? So because we have connection with different people at different level. Remember that. Similarly, others are also dealing with you. Some people will call you only once in a while when they think of something and they want to take your opinion. You should not feel that this person is taking you for granted. No. Because connection happens at different levels. Their connection with you is only to take your advice. Give it to them. So it works both the ways. Thought. Last one is heart. Now when you do all of it together in a congruent manner consistently, people are going to get connected with heart. And this happens not with everyone, but definitely with a good number of people in your life, you will be connecting with heart. They know you fully. And they are the ones who are going to stand by you. So with those kind of people, you have to do everything. Words, action, thought, and be there whenever they want. Heart to heart talk. Be with them fully. They are in your hearts and you are in their hearts. So these are the 4 different connections that we have in our life. I'm giving you in a practical manner. I'm not talking about networking or how you can establish connection with people to influence your business. All those are different. This is purely how you will have a connection with people in and around you. So these are 4 levels of connections that we talked about. How we say, sometimes it says how we get connected. I want to just give us one small example here. This is one sentence. Yeah, let's see if we can do that. This is one sentence, but this can be said in different manner. It depends on your mood in different way, and every action you do, every type of the type of particular connotation that you use is going to influence your connection. For example, you can say it's in an encouraging manner. Oh, yeah, let's see if you can do that. Yeah, you're encouraging from someone. You can be threatening also, like boss says, let's see. Or it can be challenging, or it can be ridiculing. Decide with every person, of course, it's different, but whoever you are going to work on, whoever you want to have connection, think and act. So in summary, we have seen principles. There are connecting goes beyond words. Connecting is about others and not about you. And in practices, finding common ground, simplicity, and creating enjoyable experience. And connect every time you communicate. Now, I want to give one small story that happened in my life when I was in my first job in Hyderabad. I was not a great communicator. My language was pathetic. I was not able to speak properly. And I never asked for it. I never went and asked someone to help me. Never asked for help. But my boss understood that I'm lacking here and I need help. So there was a workshop that was announced for the managers. I was not even a manager by then. It's mainly for managers. When every department was sending the manager level candidate for that, my boss decided to send me. I would never forget the help that he has extended to me. Help that was given to me even without asking. when you help someone, when they are not even asked you, but you understood that they need help, that connection in their mind and heart is going to remain forever. If at all, there is one practice that I want you all to follow in your life, is help people even if they don't ask. Because many times people don't want to ask. They feel like, it's way above me to go and ask. Or maybe, sometimes ego stops us from asking. But when you know that someone is in need of help and you can extend that helping hand to them without even being asked, the connection is going to be something different. That's my presentation. I hope you have a few minutes for Q&A.
Yes. Meenakshi, thank you so much. Before you close, our second speaker is stuck in traffic. And
Okay.
he may be slightly late. So we have a few more minutes. If you can, before we take on the questions, if there's any topic which you can cover in 20-25 minutes if you have time. Is it possible?
Yeah, we can.
Okay, so if you can cover that before we go on to the questions, that will be great. Like 20 minutes we have.
20 minutes we have. Okay, so
Yeah.
Okay, I can actually cover. Let me stop this sharing.
Yeah.
See, even in the same one, we have other principles. So I can probably touch upon that also.
Fine.
Or maybe I can cover something else.
Fine. As you feel comfortable.
I think, see, the connection principles, I can probably go further. Connection is actually a skill. Let me see if I can get that slide so I can probably give the pointers.
Right.
I'm not able to get that slide here, but anyway, I'll speak on that actually. Connection is actually a skill that we all can develop. See, connection starts with what we know. The first aspect is our knowledge. People want to connect with us because what we know about a subject. Probably our knowledge is one aspect where people want to connect with us. Or how we are as human. That is also another element where people want to connect with us because we are helpful. We are helping people. So they want to connect with us. So your knowledge is one thing. Maybe you are an expertise in something. If you are starting your career, for example, you may not be knowledgeable. So why people would want to connect with you? That's the question that you are going to ask. You are in the initial part of your career. If you are, say, 10-15 years, then you are an expert in a particular field. 3-4 years, probably you have an idea, but you are not an expert. So people will still connect with you if you can go beyond call of duty. If you especially in organizational level, you are working in an organization or you are practicing. When you can go beyond your call of duty, people will be interested to connect with you because they know that you will do something even if it is not in your defined role. if it is beyond your defined role, you will go forward and do it. That is something which it's a thing which you can practice actually. It's not something that you have to learn from anywhere. It's a attitude. That's it. You want to help someone, you want to go beyond your limit and help them. So that's one thing. Second, sacrifice you can make. The kind of sacrifice you make defines who you are. When I say sacrifice, I'm not saying that you have to give up something in your life to get something. That's a completely different thing. That happens in a different level. But you sacrifice your time. You sacrifice, the kind of opportunity you have against, what you're doing right now. For example, some of you may have a job offer in different places. Your job presently, your company maybe is paying you less, but you still want to continue here for whatever reason, and you want to give your best here. Company is going to appreciate that for you, but in future probably they will pay you more. So the sacrifice, what are you giving up for getting what? So that's something which will help you in getting connection. Now this is something which in your life also, if you look at many cases, we have to sacrifice. If you have to get something, you have to give up something. So connection also is similar. When you do more and more of sacrifice for a particular person, that person is going to like you. I'm not talking about love. That's a different thing altogether. But yes, again, it depends on what you want to sacrifice and how much you can sacrifice. All those are material aspects which you also should consider, because at the end of the day, we have to live, we have to eat, we have to get paid. So sacrifice. Third is insight. So the difference between knowledge and insight is knowledge is what you are going to gain by reading books and listening to various lectures or whatever it is. But insight is what you develop based on that. You probably link multiple knowledge and then try to get an idea out of it. That's an insight. The kind of insight that you can bring to a particular topic will help you to get more connection. So you are in a meeting. Instead of just giving your idea from a finance point of view or a tax point of view, if you are able to expand it and give an insight into how it is affecting other areas, people are going to like you. So there is connection. That's a place where a connection is going to happen again. So these are skills that you can practice. When I say connection is a skill, these are the skill areas where you can practice doing this. Other aspect is, of course, success. This is again, once you are now that you are a chartered accountant, you are succeeded as CAs, people are going to...
just 1 second, our speaker Shekhar has joined. So okay. You can finish as you feel appropriate.
Yeah, perfect. Okay, I'll just take maybe 2 or 3 minutes to conclude. So what you do, what you have done is one thing that's going to help people to connect with you. See, we are all CAs, so we connect as CAs. The moment you achieve something in your office, in your career, you're going to connect with people from different level. The last one is, besides what you have done, what you can do can also get people to connect with you. Your ability, your potential. People see potential in you and they want to connect with you. People see your abilities and what you can do, what you can achieve. And that opens up an opportunity of connecting with people. All these connections can be personal, professional, whatever way you want to take it. But at the end of the day, there's one thing that you should all keep in mind. Connecting with people cannot be purely on the ground of materialistic advantage. Once you go into that route, it's only a matter of time before you will lose all the connections. They will be your friends. They will be in your friend list. They will still answer your call, but they will not come forward to help you. So the connection purely from the point of view of helping people. Materialism is definitely, you need money, that will follow, but if you don't focus on that, that's a byproduct of connection. That's what I want to tell you all. I wish you all success for whatever you want to do in your life. And thank you again for the opportunity. Over to you.
Yeah.
Dear
Thank
Pratik.
you. Thank you so much, Meenakshi. I would now request our committee secretary, Mr. Ranganathan ji, to please propose a vote of thanks.
Sir, it was a wonderful session. In fact, we normally say that communication happens when one says something, the other person receives it, and then with the other person, whether he receives it in the manner it was intended to be communicated. But then your session went beyond that to actually emphasize the point that communication is not complete unless there is a connection, which was very beautifully brought out by you as to know what is why do you actually need to connect, and unless you connect, the communication is actually meaningless. That's what is the message I got from your this session, and I hope the quotes of this Roosevelt and then the research done by Mehrabian, now all these things I think would be very very helpful to our people who are just beginning their career, that it is just not the communication which matters, the right connect. And you also brought about where people fail to connect and what are the reasons, the barriers for reaching a common ground, and then what is the choice of finding common ground. Excellent session, sir. In 1 hour you really hit the nail. Thank you so very much. Very grateful to you for the session.
Thank you.
Many thanks, Meenakshi. So thank you so much. We move on to our next session by C.S. Shekhar, who is based out of Dubai. Shekhar is a chartered accountant from our institute and has completed Bachelor of Commerce from Hansraj College, University of Delhi. He is currently working as a Group Financial Group Chief Financial Officer of Export Trading Group. His key responsibilities are business partner to CEO, driving overall profitability agenda of the group across all verticals, heading finance and IT functions of the group, driving the functional teams to achieve excellence, devising and ensuring implementation of short-term and long-term business strategy of the group, managing risk, price position, currency across the group. He had earlier worked in Olam International, which has a presence in most parts of Africa, and Shekhar comes with considerable experience of African region. Shekhar is currently stuck in traffic and he is outside, so therefore I will be sharing the presentation, and Shekhar will be sharing his thoughts. And I would request the technical team to please change the view to gallery view. And also I would like to share that, Shekhar was a part of the panel on May 12th when he was talking about opportunities in Africa. And over the last year, the number of cities which have got added on ICAI map in Africa is significant, and the team of Export Trading Group, where Shekhar is serving as Chief Financial Officer, Group Chief Financial Officer, has made a significant difference to our initiative. And allow me to share the screen before I welcome Shekhar to take over.
Yeah, Pradeep, hi. Just wanted to check. Can you hear me?
Yes, Shekhar.
Yeah, just doing a check. I'm sorry, guys. I'm really sorry. I am actually sitting inside a car. I've actually parked my car on the side because I know that I can't reach on time for this session.
Yeah.
So, and I am not in a shape to really present. So Pradeep is helping me, making this presentation. So thanks, Pradeep. Thank you for lovely introduction. And I just wanted to, since we have an hour, and Pradeep, I believe we have an hour, right?
Yes, we
have.
Yes. Okay. So let me also, just to time myself accordingly. So I just wanted to probably give a quick background about myself and how my Africa continent safari has been over the last 20 odd years, and where all I have been and what all I have done. And this is just for people who are who freshly qualified. So I qualified in the year 1999, and I was a campus recruitee by a company called Olam in the November 99 interview sessions, and finally joined Olam in January 2000. So just wanted to kind of give a brief that I took that call in the year 2000 when there was no internet, when there was hardly any Google, when there was no LinkedIn, and when there was not so much of an information available either on Olam and definitely not on Africa. So I just wanted to bring this special fact on the table for people who are starting their journey, that at some point in time, even with all the information that you have today available on the table, and today I am reasonably certain that almost everybody has plethora of information and plethora of resources to get that information, you will have to take that risk that I am deciding and I am jumping. It may work out, it may not work out. Some risks you will have, and this is, especially at the early stage of your career, and I'm sorry, I'm probably sharing a bit more personal, information here. So I always remember I had this conversation with my father in the year 99-2000 when I was placed in Africa. And I was 22, 23 at that point in time, and my father's, and I went back to my father and I said, this is the opportunity I'm getting. And you know what he said? He said, take it. I said, okay, but this is Africa. I'm very scared whether I should go, whether I should not go. I don't know the country. I don't know the place. So I belong to a very small town called Dehradun in Uttaranchal. I did my graduation in Delhi. So I'm not really a big city guy or have so much, or by that time had so much of exposure. So he just told me one thing. He said, Shekhar, what worse can happen? You'll go there, you'll not like it. You may not like the place, you may not like the organization, you may not like the company, you may not like the atmosphere, you may not like the role. Give it 6 months. Give it 6 months and try. And if it doesn't work out for you, come back and tell the whole world, I don't have any experience. You lost 6 months of your life or of your professional life post qualification, but throughout your life, you will not have the regret that I had a chance which I should have taken and I did not take. And I repeat his words in his mind almost every 6 months or every year in my mind. Every time when I have to take such decisions on whether to take that decision or not. And believe you guys, whoever is listening to this broadcast or live webcast, I took that decision in January 2000 and I left Olam in Singapore in 2017 or January 2018, exactly 18 years after I had joined. So it is a risk I took. Yes, it worked out for me. And there are people who I know it doesn't work out. But I just wanted to set this context before I really get into what Africa is. And especially for freshers, just for them to realize that at some point in time, you will have to take that risk. You will have to decide. You will have to say, yes, I am taking this career in my hands. So from here, I just wanted to focus on what Africa is all about. And Pradeep, I don't know, because I'm not controlling the, presentation. Maybe you can,
Shekhar, I'm changing the slide. Yes.
Yeah, so I can see it on the phone now, but I think, okay. So one big myth which, I really want people to clarify in their mind on Africa. And again, I will probably keep on referring to my own experiences in Africa because I have stayed in Africa for a long time. So whenever I speak to all kinds of freshers, even today, and this is 2020, 2021, and I tell people, and I have done campus recruitments myself for ETG in the last 3 years. We come to the campus, we almost do campus recruitments almost every year. barring last year, which was the corona year. I used to fly down myself into Bangalore, into Delhi, into Bombay, and do the recruitments. And whenever I do these campus recruitments, I ask all the candidates sitting in front of me, close your eyes, think Africa, and tell me what you see. And the answer for the last 10 years has not changed. People say jungle, people say darkness, people say animals, people say skimpy clothes, or, people, or poverty, or hunger, or no food. This is all that I hear from anybody or everybody that I talk about who are qualified professionals on their impression of what Africa is. And let me just, and this, I'd just like to counter with one statement. I did my 5 years of graduation and CA from Delhi. I left Delhi in 1999. Roads of Lagos, Nigeria in the year 2000 were better than roads of Delhi in 2021. I rest my case for people to understand what I am saying. So the problem is what we see of Africa on television is Animal Planet, is Discovery, and nothing else. There's hardly anything else. We don't even like to read. We don't like to watch television which is related to Africa even otherwise for our closed minds. And this is specifically targeted to chartered accountants in India. We don't want to gather that information, how many countries are there. Maybe if you can just, go to the next slide, Prabdeep. I've just put in some hard facts on Africa on the next slide.
Yes, changing it, Sheikh. Just one second.
So I just some, classic hard facts. Generally, people in India keep Africa into two parts. Either it is South Africa or rest of Africa. South Africa, because most Indians, tend to know South Africa as a different country because it is either more developed or probably has a different cricketing, country or cricketing team. And for them, everything else in Africa is same. Mind you, like we say, India is a subcontinent in itself, has 30 odd states. Africa has 54 countries, not 54 states. Africa has 54 countries, various languages. Therefore, I keep repeating to people, Africa is not one country. It is probably or even bigger in terms of population size. It is 1.2 billion people in 54 different countries. There are people in Africa who speak English. There are people who are in Africa who speak French. There are people in Africa who speak Portuguese. There are people in Africa who speak their native languages. In fact, if I get into native languages in Africa alone, it will probably cost 150 or 200. But the best part about Africa is, given the stage of evolution the world economy is, Africa is the next verge of growth. So if everybody or all of us over here have followed the world economic pattern over the last 30, 40, 50 years, at some point in time, we always used to say Asia is the next target, Asia is the next growth, Asia is where the growth will happen because there is massive amount of population in India and massive amount of population in China. All that in economic terms or economic evolution terms is now with the next target is Africa. 60% population under 25. Massive amount of growth possibility. Their incomes, these are places where incomes are only going to rise. There is hardly any middle class yet, or the percentage of middle class existence of middle class in the whole of Africa is still very low. So generally in Africa, the disparity of income is extremely high. Either there are extremely rich people or there are extremely poor people. So the rich are super rich, the poor are super poor. Therefore, the middle class doesn't exist. And as if we all understand economics, the whole economy grows when the middle class starts to grow. Because that's when the real spending starts to happen. The real rich doesn't really spend in this country. They can travel, they spend in one country, other country, have different places. And poor anyway don't have any money to spend. So the country's growth or any place's growth technically normally is linked to what quantum of the population is real middle class and hence has that propensity to spend or has that money or income to spend. So this is an important slide in my mind, which I just wanted to highlight for people to understand on what Africa is all about. Yeah, Pradeep, if you can move on.
Yes, Shekhar. I also request the technical team, to make the presentation as a full screen and remove the 50-50 view. Yeah, just I'm changing it. Yeah, it's taking a bit time. Just a second, Shekhar. Sorry, my. Just let me reshare it. Is it okay, Shekhar, now?
Yeah, it's still the same. It's okay. Yeah, we are on the next slide. Yes.
Yeah,
that
GDP.
I can see.
GDP, it's fine?
Yeah.
Okay.
So again, I don't want to spend too much time on figures. I would request if, if Pradeep can share this presentation or upload this presentation.
Yes.
Because I can keep talking about it on numbers on which country has the highest growth, which country has the lowest growth, and therefore the potential of GDP growth in Africa. It is just, I just wanted to highlight the fact, and if people can see over here that from 2010 onwards to 2020, we can see the graph of China coming down and typically the graph of Africa going up. So therefore, it is just to re-emphasize my point that the economic growth in Africa is going to be an uptrend, and the economic growth of India stroke China. Okay, this is probably pre-pandemic. After pandemic, things would change. But still, the base case scenario for African growth or the Africa growth story remains the same. Yeah. If we can move to the next slide, please.
Yes, Shekhar. It's...
Yeah. So this is again the other factor which is very classically or very important for for all of us to know, especially with respect to Africa, is Africa is one country one continent which has a massive amount of natural resources in its hands which are untapped. So if there are any mines available in the world which have not been discovered yet, it is probably the maximum amount of those are in Africa. if there are any untapped resources in terms of water, in terms of minerals, in terms of mines, in terms of agricultural growth, in terms of arable land, in terms of any other, in terms of people. So in any kind of resource availability, Africa has the maximum amount of resource availability growth possible, hence making the case for Africa growth further stronger and the outlook of African growth further stronger. Yeah. If we can go back to the next slide, please.
Yes, Shekhar.
Yeah. This is just some latest data on GDP growth, which is probably the effect of the pandemic, and you can see the maximum amount or least amount of dip which one can see has actually happened in Africa on the dent on GDP because of the pandemic. So this again, I think this presentation is actually classically made with a very clear mandate that Africa is the land of opportunity. The impact of COVID, the economic impact of COVID on Africa is the least. It anyway had a serious case or a very strong case for growth going forward, and that will continue to be the case. Some more data on the next slide around sectoral employment and some other data or some other information about some mega trends. I am really sorry. I wanted to spend a lot of time on these slides, but unfortunately, because I'm stuck up inside a car, I can't really talk much about this. So I'm skipping through. I prefer talking and giving my views about generally Africa, and if there are any questions which anybody wants to ask, I'm trying to save time for that as well. So from there, I just wanted to come to the Indian diaspora in Africa, which is the next slide. I don't know exactly on which slide you are on. Yes.
Yes.
So coming to what or how much quantum of Indians are present in Africa, there is only one statement that I'd like to make. First of all, there is no country in Africa today where the Indians are not present. Prabdeep can confirm there is no country in Africa where Indian chartered accountants are not present. Quantums may vary in Africa, and Indians are present across various sectors. Indians are either some Indians are early immigrants. So there are Gujarati families or Gujarati immigrants from India who have been in Africa for probably 2 or 3 generations. There are South Indian immigrants in South Africa who have been in South Africa again for 2 or 3 generations. And there are businessmen in West Africa who are predominantly Sindhis and Parsis who've been in West Africa again for 2 or 3 generations. So therefore, there has been a high influx of Indians, whether it is by way of businessmen, whether it is in some cases probably even labor, and in some cases, traders. The high influx has been there over the last probably 80, 100 odd years. That influx now has shifted to influx of high caliber service industry people or qualified people trying to manage critical positions for most companies or a lot of companies in Africa, where there is still shortage of talent because of the education system and because Africa is probably still not as advanced in most places in the education sector as other parts of the world, and therefore we see the quantum of Indians is massive. Just to give you a sense of feel, in places like Lagos in Nigeria, we have Diwali parties where 25,000 to 30,000 people attend one party in a stadium. And I have myself attended that for 5 years in a row. I'm just trying to give, and these are mostly people who are working. These are not people who are immigrants. These are people who are working in various sectors in one city in Nigeria. Just again to give some sense of Indian presence and professional Indian presence in Africa. I would say in terms of Indian presence, Tanzania, Uganda, Ethiopia, Kenya, Zimbabwe and Zambia on the east and the southern side has maximum amount of Indians. Tanzania would probably be the most. Uganda, followed by Ethiopia and Kenya. On the western front, no country can beat Nigeria. Nigeria would probably have, if I am not mistaken, I'd be very surprised if the total Indian population in Nigeria is not in excess of 500,000 people. So massive amount of Indian influx, and almost so much so that in most of these countries, in places like Nigeria, in places like Tanzania, in places like Kenya, there are hardcore Indian schools which are run by organizations, and they hold CBSE exams. Again, just to give some kind of infrastructural setup present for Indians in Africa. Most places have temples. Most places have all kinds of Indian food availability. So there is no dearth of Indian food availability. I'm just just giving some color to what quantum of Indian population is already present in Africa. You see, 800,000. I'm just realizing 800,000 Indians live in Nigeria. Hello?
Yes, Shekhar.
Yeah,
yes, we can hear you.
Okay. Yeah, because I think it was showing some network issue.
No. It's perfect.
Yeah? Okay.
Yes.
Can we move on to the next slide?
Yes, it's...
Yeah, so this is just one slide just to give the presence of the organization where I work. This again is an organization started by Indian immigrants in Tanzania. It is a Patel family who are today Tanzanians. Started this agricultural business, or dealing with agricultural commodities in Tanzania. Currently now in 40 odd countries in the world, and we are right now a $4 billion plus dollar group, being managed in 40-45 countries, dealing predominantly in supply chain of agricultural commodities across the world. So I just wanted to probably touch down to where, and there are many such groups. I also wanted to touch upon the global management training program, which I have initiated 3 years ago, since the time I joined this group, because I am myself a product of a similar program which Olam had launched 20 years ago. And when I joined this group, I realized that for me to build a talent pipeline, I need to have this kind of a program. So this again is a very classical 6-month program where we go to the institute, we recruit people, and for the first 6 months, they're not expected to do anything. We actually train them on all aspects of business, in all aspects of accounting, on the ground business training, on the ground finance training. It is a hardcore training module spread across in sometimes 2 or 3 different countries, just to give different kinds of exposures to people. And then after a rigorous review session and an appraisal session, the person is confirmed as an assistant finance manager, and then takes charge of or a charge of a legal entity, overall finance charge of a legal entity of a reasonable size in a particular country. So this again is a program which has been very successful. Last, I'm just probably wrapping up on my presentation. The last thing that I really wanted to talk about is how do you conduct yourself in Africa, or what are the critical success factors if you really wanted to succeed in Africa? I think a few things which are probably not mentioned on this slide, but I'd like to mention. Africa is a very culturally sensitive place. We are all Indians. We are all anyway very culturally sensitive. So we should also try to be, sensitive to other cultures. And I have been to probably 20 odd countries in Africa, and I have realized that there are very, very small facets of culture which these people take it to heart, and in different parts of Africa, they treat it very differently. So I was in West Africa for a very long time. People are very loud. In Nigeria, people shout at each other. Doesn't matter. They are more like, and with due respect, more like the North Indians, who are slightly loud, and when they speak, their pitch generally goes up, and the other person doesn't mind it because that's the way of life. From there, when I moved to Zimbabwe and I started speaking to one of my colleagues who was a junior of mine, when I spoke to him and I spoke in the same tone, he came back to me and he said, "Why are you shouting on me? Who are you to shout on me?" And I had not changed my tone. It was the same organization. But they said, "No, in this country you can't shout on me. Speak softly. I've not done anything wrong. You are a professional, you work for the company, I work for the company." And again, these are very, very small things. For example, if you are in a lift in West Africa, in a French West African country, everybody will greet you. And if you don't greet back, they feel offended. It's not a normal Indian thing to greet each other to people who you don't know. It's not a normal thing. At least I didn't learn that. And I personally think that most of the people in India today don't do it. That's my view though. But I don't think people do it. In French West Africa, you don't do it, he'll actually take you out and he'll ask you, "Why are you not responding to my greeting? What wrong have I done? I've just greeted you. If I said hello, you can also say hello." And they're very sensitive to these small things. So, understanding of these small things on what makes them happy, because you're going to be surrounded when you join an organization, you're going, and it is no different. So let me tell you, the other thing that I realized, it is no different to anybody from North India to move to South India and learn how people behave. It is same. Or vice versa, a person from South India to go and work in Delhi, he will find that challenge. And he will have to understand how the other culture operates, how they talk, how they behave, sometimes how they eat, how they dress up, and then move accordingly. The same thing we have to do in that country as well. It's a different country, different set of people. So I think cultural sensitivity, in my view, is very, very important. Language sensitivity is extremely important. I think the other factors generally, because you are a professional, therefore I would hope that you will bring that qualification and knowledge on the table. You will obviously, because you are in a country which is high on volatility, or which is in a flux, which is not a very stable environment. Therefore, your ability to manage that instability is again very important. So that again is a very important factor. So I think if you are able to manage these things, then most of the things you will be able to cover, or you will be able to tackle. The biggest thing that I keep telling newcomers into Africa: embrace the new place, treat it as if you are, in a slightly different setting in your own country. Try and understand those people, respect them, respect their language, respect their culture, try and understand their culture. And once you are able to do that, there is nothing wrong. You will feel at home, I have been in 6 or 7, I've stayed physically in 6 or 7 countries in Africa. I've also stayed 8 years in Singapore and 2 years in China. But I don't want to talk about that right now. I really want to talk about Africa right now. So, just be sensitive and be open. And to me, settling down in any new job, adaptation is the key. Willingness to learn, willingness to welcome that change, coming out of your comfort zone and willingness to open up and accept that this is going to change, this is how things happen here. And of course, we do have our own boundaries within which, we operate. So I'm not asking all of us to change dramatically, but accept certain changes which we think are reasons because of which, with which things change in different countries. I think if we have all these factors taken care, then we have a very healthy career in front of us. I'm really sorry for rushing this because I am inside the car. My suggestion, my request to Prabdeep. First of all, thank you, Prabdeep, for giving me this opportunity, and my apologies once again that I couldn't do it in a much more organized manner, and I just got stuck in traffic, and therefore I've decided to take this from the car. Thank you, Mr. Ranganathan, who I can see is on the call, and thank you for the CA fraternity. I now leave the last 15-20 minutes for any questions or anything else that anybody wants to talk about.
Yeah.
Or raise questions.
Yeah, thank you so much, Shekhar, for your insightful presentation. I think we can skip the questions today, and I would request our committee secretary, Mr. Ranganathan ji, to please propose a vote of thanks, and then we can close the session. Ranganathan ji, can you hear me? Fine. So Shekhar, are you there? Yeah.
Yeah, I'm here.
Yeah, Shekhar. So thank you so much for your wonderful presentation, and extremely sorry that you had to do this session from a car, as we had a live session, and we had to force you to do this, and sincere apologies.
No, Prabdeep, the pleasure is mine. In fact, please don't do this. The pleasure is mine. I think my apologies that I couldn't do it in a slightly better manner.
Yeah, no worries.
Just some unfortunate circumstances.
Yeah, yes. And I'm sure your support has been always very encouraging for us to extend our initiatives in Africa, and very insightful presentation you shared, which will definitely change the thoughts of our members. And I would also like to tell our members that, me as the Regional Director for Middle East and Africa is available for any questions you may have on Africa, because our leaders spread across Africa region, and also as like Shekhar, who are based out of Dubai, UAE, because many African countries have their regional or headquarters based out of Dubai. So we are there, and thank you so much, Shekhar. So today we close the session, and tomorrow we have very insightful sessions, first by CA Kawaljeet Kaur, who will be talking about the art of taking interviews in fraud investigations, and then the second session on feedback, critical evaluation by a very senior chartered accountant and Toastmaster, CA Kiran Vasant, based out of Mangalore, UAE. So please be here with us tomorrow. See you soon again. Stay safe, take care, goodbye, and we close for today. Thanks.
Thank you everybody. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you.